Hello everyone. So today we will be talking about ZAP security testing tool. So we will discuss this tool in detail and see how it can help us to perform security testing and find security vulnerabilities. So ZAP, it is a security testing tool, or you can say a pen testing tool. It acts as a proxy between the browser and network. What does that mean is like any website that you open on the browser, any request that you send to the browser will go through the ZAP proxy first and then will reach the server of the web application. And any response that is received from the server will go through the ZAP proxy first and then will reach the browser. So it can read all the data that is going from the browser to the server. Similarly, all the data that is received from the server to the browser. So that helps ZAP to find security issues in web application, and it reports all of those issues to the user. It is an open source tool and it is completely free. You don't have to pay anything to use ZAP, and you can install ZAP on any platform, be it Windows, Linux, and Mac. And it is easy to use for beginners. That does not mean that it is not used by professionals. It is extensively used by professionals too, but it is easy to use for beginners as well. So let's see how we can download this tool first. So you can simply search ZAP download. This is the official website, zapproxy.org. You can click on download Zap link, and I am working on a Windows 64-bit installer. So I can click on this download button to download Zap. I have already downloaded and installed. Simple, you can click on download and then keep clicking on next and finish. That's the simple process of downloading Zap and installing it. So let me open Zap. So I have saved it here. I will double click on it to open it. Let me know if you face any issue while downloading Zap. It's simple. Just click on that download button. Then it will give you an installer. Keep clicking on next and then finish. So when I open Zap, it shows a pop-up. Do you want to persist the Zap session? Persist means save. Do you want to save the session that you will work on currently? That you will be working on. So do you want to save that session? So there are three options as you can see here. Yes, I want to persist this session with name based on the current timestamp. So if you tick this option, then it will save your session when you exit it, and the name of the file will be the current timestamp, the current time at this point. Second option is yes, I want to persist this session, but I want to specify the name and location. So this will help you, this will give you the option to specify the name of the file yourself. And you can specify the location also where you want to save. Then the third is no, I do not want to persist this session at this moment in time. Remember my choice and do not ask me again. If you never want to persist this session or you want to persist this session with the current timestamp every time, you can just take that. But I'm not sure what I want to do the next time. So I will not check that box. Okay. So currently I will click no, I don't want to persist this session at this moment of time and click on start. Suppose if I want to change my decision and want to persist this session. Okay. So you can anytime go on file, persist session, and then give the file name, save it on desktop or any of the place and click on save. Okay. So even if you have not decided not to persist the session, not to save the session at this point of time, you can save it later. That is not a huge issue. Now this is the UI. It has a title file menu which has all these options. Then there are few icons. This is the site. This is where your whatever site you visit, those URLs will be recorded. This is a welcome to ZAP, which gives you the option for automated scan, manual, explore, support, learn more. And this is the bottom tab, which has various options like history, search, alerts, output. And this is your footer, where it is showing the alert status and the current scans. So let's explore this. So basically, what is ZAP? It is a scanner. It is a scanner that scans your web application for security vulnerabilities. So there are basically two main type of scans here. One is passive scan and the another one is active scan. So let's go through passive scan first. So what is passive scan? It examines the request and responses sent between the browser and the application. So whatever request and responses that are exchanged between the browser and the application, that is examined by the ZAP tool during the passive scan. And it can detect certain type of vulnerabilities just by examining those messages, just by scanning those messages. And you can run passive scan safely on any application. Because it is not attacking the application, it is not performing any attack. It is just examining the request and responses. And passive scan is the default mode of scan for a ZAP. Like by default, as you are exploring the application, it will be it will perform the passive scanning on that application. So by default, ZAP passively scans all HTTP messages, requests, and responses that are sent to the web. So let's see how we can perform the passive scan. Let's go to our ZAP tool. So there is an option called Manual Explore. Click on that. So this is used to explore the application. So I can specify any URL that I want to explore. So there's one website which is specially designed for testing, for practicing security testing. The name of the website is this one, testphp.vulnweb.com. So I will copy this and maybe I will just copy this and cut this. So I will enter this URL and then I will click on the launch browser. Okay, it seems there is some issue on this application. Let me refresh it. Okay, so now the application is there. And you can, visit various sites. You can explore this application. Click on home. You can click on your profile, our guest book, Jack's demo. So, your cart. So I am exploring this application. I have clicked on various URLs on this application. Oops. Okay. So now as you see, as I visited the various URLs of that application, the history tab is filled with all those links that I have visited, with all the URLs that I have visited, with all the URLs that I interacted with. So as you explore the application, the history tab will record all the links that you visited. And you are visiting the links, ZAP tool is passively scanning those links for any vulnerabilities. So these are all the links that I have visited, and ZAP tool will scan all these links for any security vulnerabilities. And those security vulnerabilities will be recorded in the alerts tab. So this is my alert tab. And as you can see, around 13 vulnerabilities have been recorded in that website. You can double click on any vulnerabilities and you can find the description, solution. These details will be helpful to resolve that vulnerability. So as you can see, the source is passive. So as you explored the application, as you visited various links, ZAP tool by default passively scan those links for any vulnerabilities and show that in the alerts tab. So as you can see, the first three vulnerabilities are medium risk vulnerabilities. And then the next five vulnerabilities are low risk vulnerabilities. And then the next five vulnerabilities are just informational vulnerabilities. So this is how you can find vulnerabilities in an application using passive scan. So suppose if you don't want to use the browser of ZAP, you want to use your own system browser for exploring the application for performing the passive scan. So you need to note few things. Go to tools, go to options, and here you go to network and local server proxies. So as you can see, the proxy address is localhost and the port is 8080. This is what we have to set on our system browser so that ZAP can interact with our system browser. Similarly, you need to set one more thing, which is server certificate. You can save this server certificate. Let me save it on desktop. And this you need to upload on your system browser. So once you noted the proxy address and port and save the server certificates, you can go to your favorite browser. Let's go to Firefox. Not now. And then we will go to settings. And here we will search proxy. Click on the settings button. So currently, as you can see, it is using system proxy setting. There's one more way you can use Foxy proxy to set the proxy of your browser. I have made a video on that. You can use that method as well that you can find in on my channel. So currently we are manually setting the proxy. So we will take manual proxy configuration option. And here we can localhost is nothing but 127.0.0.1, or I can simply specify localhost. And port as we saw that was 8080. We can see it again. It was 8080. You can tick this option, also use this proxy for HTTPS. So that will also use the proxy for HTTPS. So this is the setting that you have to configure. And the other one is certificate. Click on view certificate. Then you can click on import, select your certificate, ZAP root CA and import that. I think I have already imported that certificate, ZAP root CA, so I don't need to import it again. So after these two settings, now if I visit any website, let's visit this one only, testphp.oneweb.com. So let's go to our history tab. You can see it again sent that get request. Okay, let me click on browse categories. So if I go to ZAP, you can see the categories is called. So now whatever URLs you will visit on Firefox will all be recorded on ZAP and will be scanned for security vulnerabilities that will be recorded on in alerts tab. As you can see earlier it was 12, now it's 13. Okay. So let me for now set it back to the system configuration because we will be using ZAP browser. Use system proxy settings. Okay. Now I can close my Firefox. Now suppose if you don't want to visit URLs manually in a web application one by one, then you can use an option called Spider. What Spider does is it visits the all the URLs in a web application. It will visit all the links that are present in the web application. So as it visits all the links, Zap tool will scan all these links for security vulnerabilities and report that to the end user. So how we can do that is, as you know that this is my main URL testphp.vulnerweb.com. And if you see under sites also, all the sites that you have visited will be recorded. So as you can see, this is the main one, testphp.vulnerweb.com. And others are basically the ones that this website is interacting with, all the third party sites. So let me click on attack and then spider. Okay, so you can use spider or you can use Ajax spider if your website has Ajax. If your website is using Ajax to load dynamic content like as you scroll down the page, the content keeps loading. So if your website has those functionalities, you can use Ajax spider. If you have a simple website, you can use spider and that will scan all the links that are present on that website. It will give you a list of all the links. So let me click on start scan. Let me stop spider. It seems there is some issue. I will just stop it and start it again. Attack spider. Okay, so let me start a new session and do it again. This site seems to have some issues now. New session. Discard and create new session. Again, I will say, no, I do not want to persist this session at this moment in time. And then I will launch the browser. So now I don't want to, since I don't want to manually record the URLs, I will not visit any URL. I will just launch the URL so that I get the main URL that I want to attack on. So it is launched. And if I go to the history tab, you can see the test PHP one web is there and all the third parties that it interacted with. I can see a gateway timeout as well. If I go, it is there. Okay, so now it has recorded here as well. So you can do it from both history tab as well as from sites attack spider and from here as well attack spider. So let's click on start scan. Okay, so it is recording the 4 URLs only. So let me do one thing. Let me change the URL that I want to explore. Okay. So there's one more site called OWASP Juice that can be used for security testing. This is the one. Okay. So I will just copy this URL. And here I will start a new session. Okay, this time maybe I will select I want to save it with the current timestamp. Or I will say with the name and location. Okay. So it will ask me where I want to save it. I want to save it on desktop with the name demo. Let's save it. Okay. So as you can see, all these files are saved on the desktop. I will enter the URL for manual explore and I will click on launch browser. Okay. So it has launched the browser. I will minimize this. If I go to history tab, it has recorded all these URLs that it interacted with or visited. And under the sites also, you can see all these URLs. So this is my main URL and this is what I want to attack. Attack spider, start scan. So as you can see, it is completed 100%. And these are all the URLs that are present on that particular site. Okay. So these are all the URLs that are present on that particular site. And as it visited all these URLs present on that site, the alerts tab are filled with the security vulnerabilities. The ZAP tool scanned all these URLs for security vulnerabilities, and these are the 16 security vulnerabilities that are present on that website. And if you want to download a report of those security vulnerabilities, you can download it from here. Report, click on generate report. Okay. And I will just click on these are the sites. If I want to remove certain sites, I can. Okay, no, I cannot do that. These are all the sites. I will show you how we can do that later. That can be done using context. But yeah, so we can just click on generate report. So this is my report. These are the contents. So currently, no context were selected. So in the context, if you don't want all the URLs, you can give that in the context. By default, it is the default context. So all the URLs present on that website are included. These are the risk level. These are the confidence level. Confidence level indicates how confident ZAP is about that vulnerability. So this is the report. So that's how you can download the report. And if you want to send it to someone, you can send that to someone. And if I go to tools, options, and I select passive scan rules. So basically, these are all the tests that were run during the passive scanning. Absence of CSRF tokens, anti-clickjacking header. So these were all the vulnerabilities that it checked for. What is threshold? Like threshold is above what threshold the vulnerability will be reported. So if I set it to off, that means the ZAP tool will not check for this vulnerability. It will not perform that test. If I set to low, that means threshold is low, so it can be crossed easily. So there will be lot of bugs reported for that particular vulnerability. So there are chances that insignificant bugs might be reported in case if the threshold is specified as low. If we specify the threshold as high, that means threshold as is high. It is not easy to cross that. So fewer bugs will be reported. But then there are chances that the real issues might get missed. So it is best to set it as medium. And this is the status release. So release means they are all released, they are production ready. Beta is it is in testing phase. There could be, it is not that you can say there could be vulnerabilities in that test while performing that test. It is still in testing phase, but release is all tested and approved. So that's all about passive scanning. So and if I talk about the context that I was talking. So I can suppose I don't want ZAP tool to scan for all these vulnerabilities. I just want ZAP tool to scan for uh, maybe just this product review. I want to scan if there are any vulnerabilities in that. So I can just click on include in context and default context. Okay. So these URLs are this URL is included in context. Okay. So I will click on add. No, I will just this is already added. The URL is there and dot star is there. I will click on OK. So now my default context has this URL. Then there is a button show only URLs in scope. If I click on that, then only that URL where the product review is there, that will be shown in scope. So now this default, now if I run the test, then only this site will be tested. Only the URL of this site will be shown, and this site will be only that particular site will be checked for alert. So let me try that. I will maybe I will just create a new session and show it to you. This time I will say I do not want to persist this session. Okay, uh, I will visit this URL. It is actually already visited. So I will just visit this again, launch Chrome. Okay. I might click on few things. Let's click on this, see reviews, close. So now this one is my review one. So now I will include it in context, default context, or I can create a new context as well. Let me create a new context called Sonam. So I'm including this in context, and I can also, change the risk level of any alert. If I say cross-site scripting to be an alert of some other risk level, I can do that too. So let me click on OK. Okay, so the name is not saved as Sonal, it is saved at get reviews. So uh, okay. Okay, it's okay. If you want to save it with a new name, you can just click on this and save it. Okay. So let me delete this. I want to save it with the Sonal name only. Click on OK. Click on this. Write the name Sonal. Click on save. Double click on this. Now I want to include the review one in context. Let me visit that URL again. Close. I got the URL. I will add this to Sonal. Okay. Then click on OK. So now I want to just attack this Sonal. Like I will talk about active scan later. But I want to find the URLs that are associated with the page that I mentioned in the Sonal context. I don't want the URLs to of all the pages. So I will click on spider and the context is Sonal this time and I will start scan. So as you can see, there is only one URL and the alert. So this is recording the previous alerts as well, but the alerts will only be associated with this URL if you don't run the previous one. So this is how you can set the context. I will delete it for now. So we can also run passive scan using Selenium. As you know, passive scan is the default mode of scan. So we can also integrate um, ZAP tool with Selenium and perform passive scanning. So I will show you a quick demo of how we can do that. Uh, I will not be explaining the Selenium part, but if you need more details, do let me know. So let me create a new session here so that I can show you how we can run it. Let me show you one more thing. If I want to import the previous session that I created, that is the demo.session, you can do that too. And all the URLs that you identified, all the alerts that you identified during that time can be seen here. So now let me create a new session. And let's just click on start. I don't want to save this session. Let me again create a new session. It shouldn't have any alerts. So basically, since my browser is still open, it is still connected to that. I will just quit all the browser. Okay. Now it's better to quit this. It is storing some cookies or something. And let me double click on Zap. Now I will start it. Now let's go to our Selenium project. It is a small project. So I created a Maven project simply by file new and Maven project and gave it the name OWASP ZAP Selenium testing. Okay, so ZAP is a tool from OWASP company. So in form.xml, I have to specify the ZAP client API dependency. This is the dependency that I have to specify to integrate ZAP with Selenium. Okay, so you can just find it here. ZAP Maven dependency. Or I can say ZAP client API Maven dependency. Okay, so this is the one that I have specified. And then I have this Selenium dependency. This I was just checking. This is not needed. If you want to run it directly from Maven commands, you can use that. But in short, you only need two dependencies, Selenium and ZAP. These two dependencies are required. And if you want to run through TestNG, you can also install TestNG. Selenium you can get from those Maven repositories. ZAP is also there. This is not required plugin, so you just need this code. Okay. And if you go to help, if you go to Eclipse Marketplace, so here you can search TestNG. Okay. And then install this plugin. In my case, it is already installed. After installing that, you can right click and there will be an option to convert this project to a TestNG project. There will be TestNG and convert to TestNG. So this is how you can convert a Maven project to a TestNG project, and it will have a testng.xml file. If you want a detailed videos on TestNG Maven, let me know. I will surely make it. So now here, this is the class that I have created, ZAP security test, and this I have specified in my testng.xml classes, and the class name is the package com.java.selenium zap test.zap security test. So if I click on ZAP security test, okay, so this is the ZAP security test. It has three variables: ZAP proxy address, ZAP proxy port, and ZAP proxy key. Okay. So ZAP proxy address, as we have seen earlier, it was localhost. ZAP proxy port, as we have seen earlier, is 8080. And then key you can get from tools, options, and then you have API. In the API, you will find your key, your public key. So that I have pasted it here. Now I have created objects of WebDriver, that is for Selenium, and then I have created a client API object. This I am getting from the ZAP dependency that I have added. So my test before method, the method that will run before test setup method. So I have defined the proxy server URL. That will be my ZAP proxy address plus colon ZAP proxy port, which is localhost colon 8080. Then I have created a proxy object. Okay. And then I have called the method. I have set the HTTP proxy and the argument is proxy server URL in that. And I have also set the SSL proxy. So now my proxy has the proxy that I wanted, proxy object. Now I have created a Chrome options class. This I will specify while launching the Chrome browser. And in the Chrome options object, I have set the proxy. That is the proxy object that I had created. Okay. And along with that, I have also set the accept insecure certificates to true. Otherwise, it will give an error. So you have to set this to true. And then here I am launching my Chrome driver with that particular Chrome option. Okay. And here I'm specifying my client API object that I'm getting from ZAP proxy. API equal to new client API. Here I have specified the ZAP proxy address, ZAP proxy port, and ZAP proxy key. These are the three arguments that are present for the client API object. Now my client API object is also created in the before method. For the test, I am just running one website. You can run any website that I had shown you earlier. So this is passive scanning. Let me run another website maybe. I will just run that website only. OWASP Juice one. Oops. I have copied the URL. Okay. So I am running this test. Okay. So in the test, I am just visiting that URL driver.get. I am just visiting that particular URL. In the after method, if my API is not equal to null, if this API is not null, because obviously we have created the object and specified the parameters, so it is not null. Now, let's come to this line first. So this API has a method. First, it calls reports, and then reports have a method called generate that will give you an API response. It will return API response type object that you have captured in the API response variable, and this is the type. Okay, so this generate method, this is used to generate the report. As you know that it is passively scanning you have set up the proxy. Now, as you visit the URL, it will perform the passive scanning on that URL and will generate all the security vulnerabilities that are present. Now, you want all those security vulnerabilities that are present to be shown in the form of a report. So, that is what you are doing in the tear down method. Since passive scanning is the default mode of scanning, as you visit the URL, it will passively scan your website for any security vulnerabilities, and the proxy is already set in the before method. So if I go to generate, you can see there are a lot of parameters. So first one is title. So let me title is my security test. Okay. Okay. Now let me show you. So title is the security test template. So there are various templates for the report. So I have specified the template to be traditional HTML. So here you can see, if I go to templates, mm, okay, so these are all the report templates and these are the IDs that you have to specify in your Selenium test. So the one I have specified is this one, traditional JSON report. If you click on, no, not this one, I have specified this one, traditional HTML report. So if I click on this one, this is the screenshot. This will show how my report will look like. So I can see the screenshot and decide what kind of report I want. You can also select traditional HTML plus. So then this is how in the graph form it will show. This is how your report will look like. Okay. And if you see in the traditional HTML plus, there's one more section called themes. And you can specify whether you want the light theme or the dark theme. Okay. So if you are using a report that also has specified themes, so then you can specify that too. As you can see, first is title, then you can specify template, and then you can specify the themes too of that template. So the one I have selected, which is traditional HTML, that does not have a theme option. So I'm not specifying it. As you can see, I am giving title, template, and it giving it as null. Now description. So description I have specified, this is security test. Context. As we had discussed earlier, this is the context. So if I'm not specifying anything, if I'm saying it to be null, then that means I'm taking the default context. As I showed you earlier, I specified the context as sonal. So I could have written sonal also, context equal to sonal, and then it would have taken only those URLs and those context into consideration. Also, as I showed you earlier, if you click on alert filters, you can change the risk level of alerts as well. So in the report, that risk level will be shown. If you want cross-site scripting to be shown as a high risk level, in your report. Though in the for the ZAP tool, it is a medium risk level vulnerability. So that can be changed, and in your report, it will be shown as high risk level if you have selected the context where you have changed. Like you can change all these default context, the variables of default context, and specify a new context and give that in your Eclipse. So according to that context, your report will be generated. So in your context, the cross-site scripting will be specified as a high risk level, though it is medium in ZAP tool. I'm not sure if it is medium. You can see that, but yeah, like you can change the risk level. Okay. So now context is done. Site. So our site interacts with lot of third-party sites. So if Zap tool will scan your site as well as those sites that your site is interacting with, and it will show you all the vulnerabilities that are present. But if you don't want to scan the third party sites or the sites that you are interacting with, then you can specify it here. You can just specify string site and give your URL. Then it will scan only that particular site. Sections. These are like what section do you want in your report? So as you can see, there are three sections in this report. If I go to the earlier one, traditional HTML plus, see there are a lot of sections in this report. So you can mention all these IDs that I want chart, alert count, all these sections in my report. I have not specified anything. By default, it will take all the sections that are present for that report. Included confidence. So what's that? So here you can see confidence is how confident Zap is about that a bug, if that is truly an issue or not. If it is high confidence, that Zap is very sure that this is an issue. If it is low confidence, Zap is not very sure if this is an actual issue or not. And if you want to specify two or three values, then it is separated by a pipe, or you can say or symbol. So if I show you, it will be specified something like this: string, confidence. Just include those high confidence and medium confidence vulnerabilities. You can specify that. Okay. And if you are not specifying anything, as I am specifying it to be null, that means it will specify all type of issues with whatever level of confidence. Okay. Similarly, we have included risk, the risk level. Just specify those risks which are high risk level or medium risk level. And if you are not giving anything, it will specify all kind of risk, whether they are high risk, low risk, medium risk. It will specify all those informational risk. It will specify all the risks that were shown in the alert tab. Then we have report file name, that I have specified it to be juice zap report.html. So you can give any name to your report. Then we have report file name pattern. So if you don't want to specify the report file name, you can specify something like this, a pattern you can specify, that you show the date first, the current date first, and then the zap report or anything you can want, and then the site, what site it worked on. The site will you will mention it. Site you will mention here, what site you are working on. Okay. And then report directory, where you want to save your report. So I have specified it as target folder system.get property user.directory user.dir. That means it will be saved in my current working directory, which is this project. So it will be saved inside this project only. Then I have display. Display, it is a string only, but the values are true and false. If it is set to true, as soon as the test execution is completed, your report will be launched. And if it is set as false, then your report will not be launched as soon as test execution is completed. You will have to manually open the report. Okay, so it is either true or false. Now let me run the test. So it detected test ng version something. And now it launched the Chrome browser and opened the site that we gave the URL for. That was our juice shop website. Okay, so it is launched and it will be scanned for security vulnerabilities. So it threw some kind of error. Unexpected end of file from server. Let's run it again. Maybe first let me refresh this. Okay, now I will run this again. So, it is still throwing that error. So there might be some connection issue. I will restart my Zap, okay? And I will quit this browser as well. I will click on start. I don't want to save the session. Now I will click on run. Run as TestNG suite. So it launched the browser. Oh, it still showed that error. So the problem was that I had not copied my ZAP proxy key correctly. So you make sure to copy it correctly. I have told you where you will get it from: tools, options, and API. So now let's run it. Now it has run and ZAP report generated at this particular location. So I will refresh this project, and this is my ZAP report. I will right click on it, open with other. I will select the Chrome to open it with the open with. Let's select web browser only. Okay, so this is my report. This was ZAP version, summary of alerts. So there are 5 medium alerts, 6 low alerts, and 4 informational alerts. So these are all the name of the alerts and number of instances, meaning on how many instance or how many links this error is found. Content security policy header not set. It is found on 15 instances, 15 places, and the risk level is medium. And these are the alert details. So these alert details can be used for debugging. Okay. So this is how your report will be generated. So that's all about passive scanning. So now let's see active scan. So what is active scan? It attempts to find potential issues by using known attacks against the selected targets. It is actually performing the attacks. Are some few known attacks. It is performing those attacks on the application. So you cannot run this on any application because it is performing the attack, and there are chances that the website may go down as well. So it's important you should have permission to test if you are doing active scanning. And remember logical vulnerabilities, like those vulnerabilities where this user is allowed to access few content and is not allowed to access few other content. Logical vulnerabilities cannot be found by both active scanning and passive scanning. So you need to perform manual penetration testing in order to find all types of security vulnerabilities. So manual penetration testing is also needed along with passive scan and active scan to cover all kind of security vulnerabilities. So let's see how we can perform active scan. Let me create a new session. But before that, I will have to, like I have set up this locally, OS Juice Shop website that I was performing passive scan on. I have set up that application locally so that I can perform active scan on this application. As I'm not sure, like though it's a test website only, but still for safer side, it's better to install it, to set it up locally so that you can practice active scanning on it. So I think the name of was CD Juice Shop. Yeah. And how to set this application locally, I have created a video on that. You can watch that. So I will write npm start. But let me confirm it. So you can watch that video. I have shown you how you can set this up. And it also shows you how to run it. If I go to GitHub. So yeah, I have to write npm start, and this is where I have to browse it on. So the application is started. It is listening on port 3000. So if I see here, you can see the application is started. So this is what I will specify for active scan. So for active scan, you have to click on this option, automated scan. And here you will specify the URL to attack, which is localhost 3000. And I will be using traditional spider. Like, let's click on attack. So now it is finding out, first it finds out all the URLs that are present in that web application, all the links that are present in that application. So it is 96% complete, and now the 100% complete. And so I am not using Azak Spider, or okay. So I can, if I want to use Azak Spider instead of Firefox Headless, I could have selected Firefox. But right now I'm using traditional Spider only to find all the URLs. So after finding all the URLs, it is performing active scan. So which is 93% completed. So basically now it is performing attacks on the application. So what all attacks does it perform? If you go to analyze scan policy manager, this is the default policy, and you click on it, modify. So you can see these are all the attacks that it performs. Cross-site scripting, dot environment information leaks. So these are all the attacks that it perform. Injection, here we will have SQL injections. Okay. So here, as I had already discussed, threshold is uh like what threshold. Here it is set to default. If you set it to off, then that attack won't be performed. Strength is with what strength it is performing that attack, how many attacks it is performing related to that particular test. So if you set it as low, then fewer attacks will be performed and fewer bugs will be there. If you set it to medium level, if you set it to high, then it will perform it with a high strength. Higher number of attacks will be performed, and insane is even higher. So you can specify the strength. You can change this threshold value strength and create a new policy as well of your own. Currently, we are using the default policy, and these are the release status. Okay. So this is the default policy. If you want to create a new policy, you can change the name and change the threshold strength and all. So my active scanning is 100% completed. And in the alerts, I can see around 8 alerts have been identified. And these are all active scanning alerts. Basically, attacks have been performed, and these all alerts have been identified from those attacks. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice rest of your day. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.